Now, tonight, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has been justifying government's domestic debt exchange program in Parliament. Top on the agenda is the minister finally assuring the pensioner bondholders of Forum that they are exempted from the domestic debt exchange program. This comes in the wake of intense protests at the forecourt of the ministry over the past week, with some very prominent people, including a former Chief Justice, participating in this very important program. Now, the understanding we have is that some other prominent people who today joined will be joining us in this conversation. So three-time former Chief of Defense Staff, Brigadier General Nuno Mensah will be joining this conversation. Already joining me in studio is the Member of Parliament who started it all. He's the one who first demanded that the Finance Minister be hauled into the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana for a conversation, for some justification, for an understanding of what's supposed to be happening. After this break, we will commence our conversation. We'll also be hearing from the only group that appears to be left off without what they've been demanding. That's the Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana, who are still insisting that they ought to be exempted. You're welcome back to Upfront. My name is Raymond Acquah. Tonight, that conversation in the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, where the Finance Minister was dragged there for some explanation and understanding of Ghana's domestic debt exchange program. Let's not forget, this program is supposed to pave the way for an IMF program sometime in the coming months, and it's been very hectic. You do recall that before today, he announced boldly that it's already written to the group of pensioners who are part of all of this. That conversation will be happening. But in studio is the man, if you heard what was happening in Parliament, because he started it. He's the one who said, let's drag him into Parliament, come and explain to us. The Honourable Member of Parliament for Northern, and I'm told once again that there'll be reshuffle in Parliament or the committees. So am I still right if I call you ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee of Parliament?
Yes, you are right.
You maintain that position?
For now.
Congratulations, he said for now. Congratulations, you surely will have to continue in your advocacy on that level. Is there a specific committee also for the cathedral? Because in all fairness, you have been very active on that, but that's under a different committee or still under Foreign Affairs?
No, that's under the committee on trade and tourism.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So, because the 80 million in the 2023 budget was put under the tourism ministry. So the joint committees of trade and tourism took charge of that.
Those ones. Okay, that's an interesting development. Now, first, I'll be speaking to the Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana. But why did you think the Finance Minister needed to come and explain what we are doing with this domestic debt exchange program in Parliament? I thought from the various memoranda, it was pretty obvious.
So, first of all, good evening to you and good evening to all our distinguished viewers. Let's be clear. This is the first time in the history of our country that we are going through a debt restructuring program. It's never happened. Not in our lifetime, not before we were born. It's the first time.
Not in 79, not in 83.
Never, it's never happened. We've been to the fund 18 times. We've had numerous IMF programs, varying conditionalities, and so on and so forth. But we have never had a domestic debt exchange program. We have never been called upon to restructure our debts, also at the international, bilateral, and multilateral level. So this is the first time. And for such a major development, Parliament had been left off the hook. The minister had told us during the presentation of the 2023 budget in November last year that he wasn't ready. They were still considering the matters. They were still at the IMF negotiations. And when things are clear, they will engage all stakeholders, which includes Parliament. That engagement, that consultation never took place. All we had was an announcement on the 5th of December last year, when the day before, the finance minister and previously the president himself, then the information minister and other top government officials had assured us that there will be no haircuts. We were presented with a fait accompli. People were being coerced.
Clarification by the information minister that had nothing to do with the principal, actually. And that was just referencing the principal.
Yeah, but it's turned out not to be accurate. Yes. Yeah. So clearly, we now have a situation where the Ghanaian people are being coerced. They are being told to take it or leave it. And that if you don't accept it, you're on your own, as Dr. John Kuma said, So you cannot have a parliament where, as the speaker said today, sovereignty under the Ghanaian constitution resides in the people. The people's representatives are in parliament. This is the most significant matter that should, first of all, as Mahama Yariga argued eloquently today, that under Article 181 of the 1992 Constitution, this should have been brought to Parliament for approval. We do not have that approval. All we have in the 2023 budget, paragraph 278, is an indication, an announcement that will be happening. That is on the horizon.
Okay.
But we did not have the opportunity as a house to go through the fine details, the terms, the conditions. What really is this debt restructuring about? What are the consequences? Should there even be
a debt restructuring in the first place?
Debt restructuring in the first place? If there should be, can't we exempt the domestic side of things? Should we be bringing this stress? Already, look at what the Ghanaian people have been put through. This economy is in a very hard place. Look at where inflation is, way above 50%. Look at where interest rate is. So you have a situation where already we are reeling. Unemployment is at an all-time high. If you read the population housing census, 12.3%. There are massive job losses due to all the exogenous factors that have already exacerbated the Ghanaian, economic context. So should we be adding debt restructuring at this time? And that is why I took the view that the finance minister cannot continue to be on a frolic of his own. This is a constitutional republic. There is no emperor. Nobody can just decide that he is going to disregard contracts. He is going to amend the sanctity of contracts, and he is going to decide what should happen, particularly to the vulnerable category. Look at our pensioners. We all have our parents at home. There are a lot of our senior citizens who could not even gather and muster the energy, the good health to go picket at the Ministry of Finance. Should it have come to that, where for 6 days continuous, we had senior citizens, and listen to the former Chief Justice. And I salute her, and I paid glowing tribute to her in my contribution on the floor today. To have somebody of her stature, I think that she was really the catalyst that brought all the attention that these senior citizens needed. And you see, when you have a society that cannot protect the vulnerable, look at the decades that these senior citizens have served. They did not decide to go abroad to see greener pastures. They stayed here and contributed to the reconstruction of our country, paid their dues. And this is how we want to reward them. What example are we setting for the younger ones?
I'll come to the whether or not what you asked to be done and the motive for which you asked that the minister comes in has been achieved. I'll come to that point. But give me a second. Let me speak to the Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana. Martin Pebu has been convener. He's also a lawyer, and he's been actively pursuing their plight in this conversation. What they are demanding is complete exemption. It doesn't appear in what was stated categorically today that they were going to be involved. In fact, the pensioners got what they be asking for after days of protest. But you, as individual bondholders, were not that lucky. Martin, is the struggle over?
Not at all, Mr. Acquah. The struggle is not over. What I see is that rather the exemption of the pensioners is going to give us an impetus, because it then tells us that, yes, we can. Yes, we can. Because when the pensioners started, some people thought, oh, it's just a waste of time. But I've seen that after 8 days of picketing, they've succeeded. So, Mr. Acquah, the main focus now is that government must pay the bonds that mature, under existing bonds. That's the song Mr. Furiata has sung over all these past weeks, and yet he's not walking the talk. What do I mean? On the 6th of February, some of the bonds matured, but Mr. Furiata has not paid 4.2 billion. The actual figure is 4,185,000,000 something something. So we'll just round it up to 4 billion. He hasn't paid, and he hasn't bothered to say a word. Mr. Acquah, is that how you treat a creditor? Somebody struggles to give you his life savings. It's time to pay. You don't pay, and you don't say anything to him. The apogee of insensitivity. Meanwhile, this is the same Ofuriata that, if not for anything at all, these are the very bonds that have made him and the president very rich, because Data Bank was making money from the bonds, fees and commissions. So how would you become very rich, and yet you are very ungrateful to the people who have made you rich? Today, we are in trouble. But Mr. Furiata and the president, their family is now super, super, super rich. And yet they have such ingratitude. I mean, it's just the apogee of...
Forgive me, what I wanted to know from you is, since you were not directly mentioned as one of those exempt, what are you going to do next? You're talking about payments that have not been done. Of course, that conversation is on the table. But I was really interested in, what's the way forward? Are you giving up? Because to the man, the process has ended. From 7th to the 14th, and all the things that are happening now, he's just basically telling Parliament that I've ended the process. He says there's more than 80%, 85% participation, more than what he actually asked for. And to him, it's been a successful business done.
Yeah, so Mr. Acquah, what we intend to do is to picket next week. We are going to be picketing at the Independence Square. And then we will send petitions on daily basis to Mr. Furiata. We'll send petitions on daily basis. So what the police will do is that each day they will match 10 of our leaders to the Ministry of Finance to hand over a petition. So the first day will be a petition, the subsequent days reminders. And then, of course, Joy FM, you are going to be supporting us. So once you are carrying the picketing live, we keep the conversation on. Then we are pushing back Mr. Furiata and the president, reminding them repeatedly about the untold hardship they are taking us through, about this needless hardship that they've unleashed upon us. Because, Mr. Acquah, people have planned their lives around these bonds. We need the bonds to be able to pay school fees. We need the coupons to pay bills, electricity, rent, school fees, etc. And yet, payday comes and the government doesn't pay, and the government has no respect, doesn't say a word about the payday.
On the picketing, I get your point. On the picketing, specifically, how many days are you likely to hold this? Are you going to do it like the pensioners for over a week? Are you willing to go the full haul?
Yes. We are going 9 yards. 9 yards. So the initial one is to do next Monday to Friday. Yeah, so by Friday, we see whether we've been successful or we should continue. Yeah, so let's take it one day at a time. But trust me, Mr. Acquah, we are not relenting at all. We are not. This is discrimination. Mr. Furiata and the president cannot get rich at our expense. And Mr. Acquah, you know what? The anger that's building up in the individual bondholders, that anger, the president is inviting the Arab Spring into Ghana. That's the Arab Spring he's inviting into Ghana. You remember, in opposition, he cautioned the then sitting president that the way unemployment and hard economic times were hitting citizens, the president was inviting the Arab Spring. It's the same. It's actually worse today. You know, today, unemployment is worse than then. And then with these bonds, individual bond holders are about 1.3 million. That's the direct and indirect. And then we also have families. So then the multiplier effect, you are looking at about 6 million citizens that are going to be affected. So we are asking that, look, government must honor its bond.
I guess I can leave it off here, but because you're a very busy man, I'll let you go. Many thanks to you, Martin Pable, who is lawyer and also convener of the Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana. So you heard it. They are also going to start picketing from Monday. They are not choosing the Ministry of Finance. They're actually going rather to the Independence Square. And every single day, be presenting petitions to the minister to make some changes. And what they've been demanding is quite clear. Complete exemption. He also raised the matter to do with non-payment because the minister says when your bonds are due, I'll pay. If you do not sign on. He says on February 6th, there were some bonds that were due which have not been paid. So that's what he's raising in connection with what the minister has been saying. I'll be coming in studio, just 1 second, but before I come in studio, a man showed up today in a quite strange manner, a former chief of defense staff, a former head of national, what they call it, coordinator of national security, and the former head of the human security at the national security, Brigadier General Nunu Mensah. You're welcome to Upfront. If you're still on, Brigadier General, I mean, you've been trying to explain earlier on today why you joined. Of course, you are also a pensioner, the pensioners, but they've gotten what they wanted. Are you now satisfied, as in the pensioners?
No, I mean, my anger is just beginning to warm up. You know, I am 86 years, heading towards 87. So I'm not a little boy. And 2 times chief of defense staff and national security advisor for the President. Trained in some of the best institutions around the world, Sandhurst, Canadian Land Force Command and Staff College, India, Russia, all sorts of things I've had. I am disappointed that, we have people in our country who don't seem to know what they are about. I'm very, very, angry about what is going on. I did buy government bonds through my bank, Barclays, now ABSA. When I go to the bank to find out what the hell is going on, nobody's able to tell me exactly what is going on. So much confusion. And there are people who are educated. We have people who have got degrees, who have doctorate degrees, and they can't even explain to me what they're doing with my money. I bought these bonds, but I knew that when I'm getting old, 86, 87, it's not a small joke. I've been around for a very long time. So when I'm not able to carry on with my life, at least I can fall back on the investment I've made to live, not even so much about myself. But I've got people from my mother's side, father's side, almost 30 people. If I don't send them money, I do 2,000 yesterday, 2,000 cities. Otherwise, we all die of hunger in Winneba. So it isn't a joke. It's not even me that you are hurting. You are hurting people who are dependent on me. Without me, they will not survive. So when government get up and say that the money you put into the buying my bond, I can do what I want to do with it. I mean, it's uncalled for. We are in democracy.
Forgive me, but if you are part of these pensioners who hold bonds, I thought that matter had sailed a long time ago, that as of earlier today, you have been told there's an official letter with you indicating that you've been exempted. Case closed, isn't it?
But I'm saying that the communication from government is so poor that you get more confused the more you talk to people. Nobody's able to talk clearly. Can they write simple English and tell us? This is my problem. So I want the parliament today with Captain Sou to join picket. I didn't even know the president, the minister was going to be there to show my anger that, look, we have served this country for the past 62 years. I've been in public service. And in retirement, money that I put aside to look after myself and my dependents, government says, but if, they should make it clear what the hell is going on, because nobody seems to know exactly. I go to my bank and they can't tell me exactly what is going to happen to my savings there.
But General,
and I think that is wrong for government to just arbitrarily decide to do anything it wants to do with the money of the people. We voted for people to manage our affairs for us properly.
General,
and if government is going to mess up with our money, look.
I appear to be trying to ask you this question. Forgive me, just a direct question. You heard the finance minister in Parliament today 9 pages of a speech delivered over a long period of time. The answers you are looking for, did you get them?
No, to be honest with you, I left the parliament before you spoke. But the point I'm making is that, first of all, the action they're taking, if we're going to mess up with people's savings, I just have some very old people that depend entirely on this money for their livelihood. And without any consultation, arbitrarily, I'm going to do this with your money. That is not right. You don't, even in the military, you don't behave like that. So let them come up and tell people exactly what they're doing with their money, because many of these people depend on the money for their livelihood. Look, when I came from a very poor background, and my life has been improving all along, from nowhere, from Winneba as a fisherman's son to become chief of defense staff. I didn't go to infant much more. I went to a school that I almost taught myself. But I've been developing. We have had this problem with our economy for a very long time. IMF come and go. We are not getting anywhere. The economy is getting worse. Things are worsening. Today you leave school, you go to university, you come out, you can't get a job. And we are not doing anything about it. It's going to get worse and blow up if you don't wake up. So if government cannot, handle the problem, there are people around. Call them, sit them down. When I was with President Mills, what they call the general, now I would say, Aqua Babyara, Aqua Science, Aqua India, Aqua Russia, Aqua Babyara. You have been everywhere. You tell me, you are my advisor. Nobody calls you to ask you for advice.
Okay.
But they are not gods. We all, they are human. And what prevents our president, a good friend of mine, I was campaign manager. General, come sit down. Tell me quietly, am I doing well? And I will tell him my peace of mind. Ghanaians who can't speak the truth. We don't have the courage. And our country is actually, getting somewhere that I don't even know how we are going to end up. When nobody tells that the economy has collapsed, you can see if you've got brains in your head. You drive along the Labadi Road. The work is not going. Why? Because government doesn't have money to pay the contractors. It's common sense. The work is stopped. People are, with dust, Hamatan dust, and all kinds of problems. Nobody speaks. We are all quiet, and we are sinking. So I'm saying that the government should be open with the people. Tell them, first of all, taking their money without their consent is wrong. You offered I bought the bond based on the conditions that was there. You can't change them without letting me into it. Just arbitrarily, I'm doing this. But what actually beats me more is that, look, when I was in the military, I left 1979. I pensioned. I was retired 44 years ago. I have been drawing pension, maybe the longest pensioner drawing pension, in our history. And I'm still around. A time came when I was driving my own car to work as chief of defense. The car is still here. About 1976. That was 47 years ago. Today, we are driving Land Cruisers. Go to the military and see. You are driving Land Cruisers, and you tell me you are poor. If you don't manage your economy properly, of course you'll be bloody poor. I'm driving Land Cruiser. I was in Canada, they are driving the cheapest Ford car. Here we are driving Land Cruiser. We're driving Land Cruiser. And you tell me you are one of the most expensive cars, around the world.
I get you, General. So
let's manage our affairs properly and sort things out properly, without putting, ordinary pensioners, old people, frail, putting them to their debt. That's not the way to run a country.
I understand you, and I wish you well in this pursuit for clarity on your status. And that's General Nunu Mensah there. He's been former Chief of Defense Staff. In fact, he just for the first time had to talk about his own bonds, but he said that's not why he joined them. That he felt the system has been unfair to the treatment of the people that he actually joined them in Parliament to talk about. You've heard from Martin Pebu through to General Nunu Mensah. I really thought what was to happen in Parliament will put to rest all the concerns that are being raised over the years, but over the months anyway. But it doesn't appear so.
Very heartbreaking stories. Listening to General Nunu Mensah, Ghana's only two-time Chief of Defense Staff, very celebrated general, won many international awards, topped his class at Sandhurst. I mean, very distinguished Ghanaian. At 86, this is somebody we should be celebrating, who we should be sitting at his feet to learn from. We should not be subjecting him to this ordeal, this torture, this torment that he's going through, that his life earnings after serving this country for 52 years, he's not even sure what is happening to those savings. Then you've heard Martin Pebu, who speaks on behalf of the individual bondholders. He is right. Since the 6th of February, when the finance minister claims that people can opt out, they can exempt themselves, the only way to prove to us that that exemption works is when you honor your obligations when coupons are due.
Like the February 6th one.
Exactly. What is the minister waiting for? 4.2 billion. And there's no assurance. No, we know that, yes, typically he has a 15-day window. Mm-hmm. But at least, we know that in good times, if you are conversant with these arrangements, it doesn't take government more than 3 days to redeem their obligations.
But these are extraordinary times.
Yes. So engage the people. Give firm assurances. I've gone through these 9 pages. Mm-hmm. And you say, I'm very disappointed with this finance minister.
Really?
Extremely. And that is why my caucus has resolved that we are going to file a motion and we are going to delve deeper into these matters. We want all
it's not done.
It's not done. We want all the terms, all the conditions of this debt restructuring program to be presented to the House for thorough scrutiny and approval. Today, what happened was a policy brief, and because he came under Order 72, the debate was limited. So you notice that the speaker was constrained to manage the time because he says that the standing order provides that only brief comments should be allowed, and those comments should not generate debate. Now, first of all, the finance minister.
So the strategy
does not take
was
that.
Not right.
Does not.
Is that what you're saying?
No,
like,
it's no.
Because I saw Richard Sky's comment that the strategy to demand the Minister for Finance appear before the House to brief MPs on the controversial DDEP was, with the greatest of respect, a colossal misstep. That's how he calls it. The route chosen does not, under the rules, allow for lengthy commentary and debate. He believes that the better and proper approach ought to have been a motion seeking to block the DDEP, although the outcome would not necessarily be binding. In that case, a useful and more meaningful vote would apply. So that's, I mean...
No, I disagree with him. You see, so far, we haven't heard the finance minister in the House. He's not on record.
Okay.
So the strategy is to give him a hearing.
Okay.
If you file a motion to debate the matter, you are still talking amongst yourselves. Mm-hmm. The minister is not a member of parliament. He is under no obligation to appear.
Okay.
If you file an urgent question, he will just come, and questions even have a more limited window. And it will just relate to a specific matter. You can't get a full comprehensive brief. Okay. That is why we adopted this route as a first step to now be seized with the matter, have all the facts, and then we can scrutinize further. So I disagree with my good friend Richard that it was a misstep. It's an important first step. At least today, thanks to this, we have all the numbers and we have seen all the contradictions. For example, when
yes,
we'll come
to that.
Okay,
yeah.
All right. So
I wanted to comment directly on the
so let me conclude. So let me conclude on the procedure. So this procedure allows for the minister to come and provide a comprehensive briefing, so that we will be armed with the facts. Okay. Now we have that. We've done our brief comments. We've given indication of the areas we are displeased with. Now that we have this, based on the information we have, based on the facts that the minister has provided, we can now tailor specific motions, areas that we want to now hone in and focus.
I see.
So that's it's the matter is not over.
So it was a strategy.
It's a strategy.
And it was not that you did not know what you were doing
at all.
Okay,
at all. Yes. I mean, we are now senior members of Guest House, so and we know our tools.
I get your point. Now, those who say that your intervention was too little, too late, this thing started way back in somewhere December or so, December 6th. We are in February. If you wanted to intervene, you've recalled Parliament for, to them, far less important things. This is perhaps the biggest conversation in the Republic of Ghana. Why didn't you intervene in the first place quite early enough so that the kind of reprieve you think people should get out of this, they would have gotten it? It looks like the ship sailed a long time ago.
It's a legitimate concern, and I can confirm to you this evening that this was strongly considered when we were on recess.
Okay.
The challenge we had was that there were all of these international commitments. So you had various international committees sitting, IPU, Pan-African Parliament. The Speaker of Parliament was also very busy attending to all of these international assignments and all that. So when we looked at the exigencies of the time, it was virtually impossible to be guaranteed the numbers and the availability of the Right Honourable Speaker and leadership to look at this matter. But I can confirm to you that some of us really, considered it.
For it right back
yes,
then.
yes. That is why the first day actually, when we returned, I expressed my utter shock when the business statement was presented, and this did not find expression. And that is why I made an urgent application to Right Honourable Speaker. And I must commend the Speaker for appreciating the urgency and the importance of this matter, immediately admitting my application and directing that the Finance Minister should appear before. So I do not think that the ship has sailed. I don't think that the horses have bolted. We are a parliament. We can still, look, not until this whole IMF negotiation is concluded. If you read the minister's own concluding paragraphs from paragraph 48 to 60, he makes clear that this is just one of many other requirements or conditionalities as they are known traditionally. There are a number of bills like the excise duty, excise stamp, the income tax, the growth and sustainability levy bill that will have to be approved by the House. So it's a package, together with the COVID-19 Auditor General's reports, the publication. Interestingly, they told the IMF they'll publish it, but then their Attorney General is harassing the Auditor General for publishing the COVID-19 report. These are all, no. It was a very, very, very.
It's advice. That's what.
No. Corruption thrives in opacity when there is darkness.
But he's not.
There ought to be sunshine.
It's the sequence of events leading to the publication he's talking about. He's
saying he should pull it down from the website. He's saying that it should not be published. His letter is very clear.
You in Parliament have dealt with it before you publish it.
He's totally wrong, totally out of order, and
really?
that's not what he should be focusing on. That's not what he's totally out of order. When the law is very clear. I mean, when you transmit to Parliament, it's a publication. When we have it, I can decide to come and sit here with you. I have my copy here. And we can decide to discuss it in extenso. It's here. I have my copy here.
And when you are dealing with it at various committees, including PAC,
yes,
it would certainly be live.
Exactly. It will be live on TV. So what is all this? Is it something the Attorney General should be wasting his time on? Meanwhile, you tell the IMF, it's here. Publication of the Auditor General's report on COVID-19 spending. One of the conditionalities which must be met. Paragraph 50.
Okay, yeah, 50.
Yes, right. Paragraph 50.
So it says here that, as already stated in the House, November 22, Ghana lost access to the financial markets. Then maybe I skip to the later end of it. It says, these presented a very challenging.
No, I said 5-0, not 1-5.
No, okay, so...
Or is yours different? What I have here, Mr. Speaker, the passage of these bills will enable government to complete 4 or 5 agreed prior actions in the staff level agreement.
Was published. It's 53.
Okay, mine is 50.
Okay, well, there's a difference. Well,
yeah.
I suspect that could be...
So since tariff adjustment by the PURC has been done, publication of the Auditor General's report on COVID-19 spending, the onboarding of GET Fund, DACF, and Road Fund on the gift miss have all been completed. So these are all part of the conditionality. So I disagree with those who say that, the horses have bolted, it's too late. No, the negotiations are going on. And you heard our leader say that so far they've done a terrible job with the negotiations. If you look at what Sri Lanka got reprieve for their people. Their negotiators have done a far, far better job. We are seeking to, virtually, just crush the people, rush everything, and we want, within a 6-year period, to reduce debt to GDP by 55%. When you have sent us to 104%, it's really not possible. And you see, what the finance minister is doing is that he's kicking the can so that a future government will have to carry the mess that is created.
As in the period that he's talking about, the 6-year period?
Yes.
Okay. Now, but the question, now that you have gone into this report, does it meet the request you laid before the Parliament that the finance minister come and give you? Did he provide all the information? Are you pleased now with the information provided?
To be very sincere with you, Raymond, I'm not the least pleased. And I think that the finance minister's tenor, his posture, his choice of words, his whole approach was very offensive.
Really?
Even the way he
It's
opened.
not a very calm, soft-spoken.
And that is go beneath the veneer. That's the deception. I mean, you come and say, "Let's rejoice in the Lord" and all of that. Is this the time to rejoice when
but
there's
he's known
when
to
there's
make reference?
So he should quote the right scripture.
Okay.
Like Proverbs 29:2, which says that when the wicked rule, the people mourn.
But that's
the
not what
people
he
groan.
believes in.
The people will be. The people will be. That is what is going on. You just heard General Nunu Mensah. You've heard Sofa Akufo. You've heard Dr. Nani Enchi. You have heard Martin Kwebu. You've heard Senyor Husi and a host of others. You know, so the general tenor. And then, you see, his refusal to take responsibility. I expected that this finance minister will, at the very least, apologize to us for bringing us into this mess. I have the tall list of finance ministers we've had in Ghana, from Komla Agbele Gbedema to Ferdinand Kobla Vidra Goka to Kwesi Amoakwata, Kwesi Efrifa, Emmanuel Noy Omabo, J.H. Mensah, Ignatius Kutua Champon, Amonikwe, Robert K.O. Gardner, J.L.S. Abe, Amonikwe, George Bene, Kwesi Boche, Richard Kwame Pepra, Yaosafu Mafu, Kwejo Banredu, Antonio Kutose, Kobna Dufour, Setekpe, Kanu Furiata. He is the only finance minister who has plunged this country into debt distress, into a debt restructuring program.
None of them had COVID. None of them had COVID.
None of them. Look,
none of them had COVID.
Ghana has gone through bigger problems.
Bigger?
You know what Kwesi Boche faced? Have you heard of the famine?
Yeah.
Have you heard of the over 1 million Ghanaians at the same time? Multiple whammy. Millions of Ghanaians deported from Nigeria. Ghana must go. Kalabule period. There was general shortage on the market. You can't compare that.
Going to a halt like COVID did.
Kwesi Boche, and Kwesi Boche didn't have over $5 billion from the IMF, World Bank, and other international partners. The support we got. Why is the finance minister hiding that part of the story? He does not tell the Ghanaian people that when COVID happened, he had over $5 billion. Where has all of that money gone to? And you read this COVID-19 report, and I'm not surprised that the chair of the COVID-19 fundraising committee, the distinguished and venerable Sofa Akufo, is so upset. She keeps asking, where did all this money go? You have increased our debt from 120 billion to 575 billion by November of 2022. Yeah. Where has all of that money gone to? And as Sofa Akufo asks, what have you used the money for? What productive sector did you spend this money on that we can say today that there is some hope? So his refusal to apologize and then his refusal to resign. I thought that he would just have come in at the end of his speech, last paragraph. He would say that, look, based on the fact that I have failed, I have let all of you down, I have visited all of this calamity upon you. This is my last day in office. I leave. I didn't hear that.
But
then when you go through his numbers are not adding up. This claim of 80.
Specifically, what do you mean?
The claim that the domestic debt restructuring program has been successful because they've exceeded the 80% target, some 85%. Read paragraph 28 and paragraph 29. Contradictory. And then, you see, in paragraph 28, what they do is to reduce the denominator and say that, 82 eligible bondholders have tendered in some 82.9 billion out of 97.7 billion. So that gave them the 85%.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the actual figure you were working with is 137 billion when you go to paragraph 26.
But was it not explained?
So in that explanation lies a big scandal. His explanation is that the eligible bonds, as per the exchange memorandum, meant an exclusion of pension funds and bonds that were subject to swap mechanisms for monetary and exchange rate policy operations. What this simply means is that others were given an escape route. Who were those? Why was it not advertised for people to take options? I mean, to consider those options. Why were they not transparent about it?
Is that strange?
Very strange. Unscrupulous.
Was that not known to the public?
It was not known. We are hearing this for the first time. And that is why when you come to paragraph 29, he himself now concedes that actually what has been tendered is 64%. So they haven't met the 80%.
Let me get this clarification. What I'm reading here is that, Mr. Speaker, government is, however, mindful that the 82.9 billion bonds that were successfully tendered represent 64% of the outstanding debt stock.
Yes.
Of 130 billion at the end of December 2022.
Yes.
So he's not saying it is. He's comparing what has been tendered to the debt stock that we had.
Yeah.
He's not comparing it to those who are eligible to participate, which is a 97 billion.
Yes.
That's the difference.
No, those who are eligible to participate are bondholders worth 137 billion.
No, but he explained why they were exempted. He explained that, pension funds and bonds that were subject to swap were exempted, which brought it down to 97 billion.
What is the breakdown of that swap?
Okay, well, we've not been given that.
Who are those who benefited from that swap?
But did you demand that in Parliament?
That is why we are going to file the motion. These are the outstanding matters that we are going to pursue further. Then let me also state more fundamentally that, you see, when you go through all of this, as a young Ghanaian politician, I don't see any hope. I don't get inspired about the future. It's all gloom, it's all doom, it's all cluelessness, visionlessness. You see, we know that why we are here is because of the reckless mismanagement of this economy.
Of course, government disagrees.
You borrow and spend it on all kinds of frivolities. I've been going through expenditure at the presidency, documents they submitted to us during the budget review, and some of the revelations. How can you spend 15 million Ghana cedis on car tires and batteries?
What's the problem?
Between January and September at the presidency.
What's the problem?
If we were even manufacturing a car tire factory,
how much
will we be spending that?
Cost for it?
65th independence anniversary in Cape Coast, 10.4 million. Payment for internet services, 20 million.
No, my problem
at the
is that
presidency.
You're not telling me what should have been the cost so that we compare it to it.
Is this reasonable to you?
I mean, I'm unable to determine
is this
that
reasonable?
if I don't have anything to compare it to. I hope you get my point.
No,
So
I don't get your point.
My point is that if you say 16 million or 15 million,
are this priority expenditure? Look,
you should be able to tell me that no.
Let me tell you. Let me tell you what the alternative is.
Okay.
When we were in power, we were all given government vehicles.
Okay.
The responsibility to service is on you, the deputy minister or the minister. You have to service. You have to buy your own car tires and your own batteries. I'm saying this for the first time.
But this is for Office of the President.
Yes.
Okay.
But they will. They normal because the pool is there and they are in charge of the distribution.
So when they give you a car, they'll come and change the tire for you.
I mean, that's what this means. Why? Look, after all the privileges we give our politicians, the political elite, particularly those in the executive, we in Parliament don't have the chauffeurs, we don't have the fuel coupons, we don't have bungalows and all of that. Yes. I mean, so after all we've done for them, why should we still be paying for car tires and batteries? Why? I'm saying that this expenditure is needless.
I get your
point. Can save money from these things. And you see, you go through 51 million cedis on fuel, 13.7 million cedis on local hotel bills, 59.4 million on operational enhancement for the presidency. I mean,
what does that mean?
Yeah.
But you're in Parliament. You should be asking them.
I have.
Telling me that
it's the president's discretionary fund, largely a slush fund for the president.
So operational
enhancement.
Enhancement.
Yes.
And I'm actually. I mean, of course, you being government. So what does operational enhancement mean?
It's at the president's discretion. I mean, it's really like a slush fund for the president.
Is that what they told you? Or
yes, that is it. That is it. And the give me code is here. The give me code is here. It's here. Operational enhancement for the president, 59 million. I mean, at a time that we're in crisis, 9 months.
Okay.
In this crisis. Then when the finance minister, remember in March last year, finance minister announced a number of cost-saving measures. Will you believe that All those announcements were not followed, including the announcement that they won't purchase new vehicles. The documentation we have from the presidency, they paid 6.5 million Ghana cedis for new vehicles.
Was it for new vehicles, as in buy new ones?
Yes.
Or pay previously bought
Buy
ones?
new ones. 6.6 million for network and ICT equipment. Then some 7.3 million for furniture and furnishings. I mean, why? Things that can wait, things that are not a priority. At a time that you can't find money, according to government, to take care of furniture. You have been running the schools of shame.
Yeah.
There are about 2.3 million people, school pupils, without furniture in our country today. Doesn't it prick our conscience when we engage in this kind of needless expenditure? School feeding caterers are up in arms. Look at free SHS. Feeding for free SHS. Our school, when videos come up on our Old Boys platform and we see the gaso that we used to love, we see the quality now, how light and transparent it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, we cry for the current generation of students in school, and yet we engage in this. Then at the presidency, some of the portfolios, only a few days ago, I listed about 20 of them. Bizarre portfolios the president has created. Why is he still keeping those positions?
Specifically what?
So he has a church relations manager. Why do we need that?
Church relations.
Church relations manager. Are we soon going to have a shrine relations manager, a mosque relations manager? Why do we need?
So
why do we?
An explanation for it. I mean, it will sound like somebody who relates to the church, but why does the presidency require that? Kind
Yeah.
of
Why should we be paying? Why should we be paying that person? Why is the person treated as a presidential staffer, an Article 71 office holder? Why?
Why should
Article
yes. 71 office holder?
Yes.
So we'll retire with S. Gracia.
Yes. Can you believe that?
A church relations.
Church relations manager. Then there's a diaspora church relations officer.
But have they explained?
There is an overseer of the National Cathedral.
Sorry, there's also diaspora church relations officer.
Yes, will you believe that?
As in relating with churches outside.
Churches outside.
Except maybe you do not understand their role properly. Is that explained to you when they bring you some of these? Did they tell you what the real jobs of the people who are supposed to be doing some of these jobs?
These jobs should not exist in the first place.
I mean, maybe an explanation of it will make sense to me, but I don't get it.
They've told us, they say that it's part of the mobilization of the international community towards the construction of the National Cathedral.
So
useless.
Somebody is being paid at the National Cathedral.
Yes, at the presidency.
We have a coordinator who is helping us fundraising or something like that. That's separate from it.
Separate.
External person.
Yes.
But somebody at the presidency is also doing church relations.
Yes, can you believe that? Can you believe that? We have a technical advisor to the presidential advisor on media on the list.
Wow.
We also have data manager. We have on the list youth ambassador for diaspora affairs. We have focal person for La Francophonie. No, they never existed. New creations by President Akufo-Addo. And the question I'm asking is, why is he keeping these positions? And you see, this brings me to the point I was making in Parliament today about what the literature says about the gold standard, the Jamaican model. Yeah. You know, Jamaica went through a debt restructuring program.
The ideal system that people think they are deploying elsewhere.
And that is like the ideal, yes, the IMF points to what the Jamaicans achieved. First of all, leadership took responsibility. The prime minister, who was the 8th prime minister, resigned. Prime Minister Golden Bruce Oret resigned. The central bank governor resigned. They took responsibility. He paved way for Brian Whitner to take over. Then they identified a number of public institutions that could be cut off, that should go. They collapsed 40 of them. We are here at this time. The president is still making new appointments, still elevating people from deputy minister to minister of state and increasing government expenditure. They also established an economic program oversight committee. And you see, it was a beautiful concept. So in this committee, they had people from the business community. So like our version, AGI, and others. They had organized labor. They had civil society organizations.
Who has insisted on the right things being done
yes.
in government.
And so they were in there, and they were part of the negotiations right from day one. So some of these credibility challenges, figures, you know, we are hearing today that some people were giving another route to escape, to go and buy treasury bills and all. Didn't happen in Jamaica. Then what the Jamaicans also did was that they passed the fiscal responsibility law, which then prevents any government from borrowing more than 60% of GDP. What they also did was that They took major pay cuts. And today, let me commend the Honorable Kweku Kwatin. I think that on the other side, he's the only one who really, he spoke.
He talked about cuts in government
and all of us, the political elite, even addressing vehicles, V8s, ex gratia. I want to salute him. I have written extensively on this matter. I have said that I do not understand why ex gratia should be paid every 4 years. If you are returning to Parliament, you shouldn't be given. Those who are leaving. And even that, if you look at the component of ex gratia, which balloons it, it's really the back pay. So as I speak to you now, this 8th Parliament, we have not been told our conditions of service. Presidents will wait, when they are exiting, then they set up the emoluments committee. Then it's backdated. So when there are pay increases, all these COLA, all these tripartite committee meeting, increasing working conditions, MPs are not benefiting. Then when that committee is set up, I am saying that don't even allow the president to set up a committee. Adapt what the UK has done. Have an independent emoluments commission. And fortunately, in the Constitutional Review Commission report under Professor Mills, that was recommended. That approach was recommended. So that you have an independent commission. This business of scratch my back, I scratch your back must stop.
I get your point.
So if you look at what the Jamaicans did and then rallied the nation, everybody supported the program. They were transparent. They came to Parliament first before any decision was taken, before they went to negotiations. There was that collective buy-in. That is not what is happening here. We have totally deviated. The same old guys who created the mess. Nobody is resigning in the case of Ghana. There are no hiving off. Look, in this country, I take the view that we can do with half of the current ministries. Why should we have a separate ministry for chieftaincy and traditional affairs or religious affairs when it can be put under tourism?
I have only one question to end.
Railways can be put under transport. Fisheries can be put under agric. Why should we have information and communication separate? Why should we have Minister of State for State Enterprise? I mean, it's no-brainer. These are things that we should do.
I guess in moving on, the question I should ask you is what Suleiman Abrahama has been saying. That you have not registered a certain farm. I did not know that you needed to register the farm. And you are being chased for it. What exactly is the issue? Very briefly.
All I'll tell you, Raymond, is that as Dom Leveau said, when you fight corruption, corruption will fight you.
Is it true that you have not registered a certain farm?
I do not have the farm operating. So we started negotiations with a Chinese company called Tiast. We wanted to do a starch factory, starch processing factory from cassava. The negotiations broke down because of COVID and the very terrible economic climate. So we are not operating. We just registered the company, but we are not operating. We haven't established the farm. And here we are. I'm told that that group is all over the place. They've even gone to the foreign ministry that my diplomatic passport should be taken away from me.
Sorry, which group are you talking about?
They call themselves the Movement for Justice Ghana.
Okay, so they are the ones
shadowy characters. Yes, they have gone to GRA. GRA hasn't told me. I filed my income tax promptly. My accountant will call me. He will not allow me to go to miss any timelines. So here we are, after serving in government for 8 years. These are the things they are finding, that I haven't registered a farm and all of that. Let me serve notice that I'm not going to be deterred. I won't be cowed. I won't be intimidated. I'll continue to carry out my oversight mandate. It is the reason why the Ghanaian people and the people of Northton elected me to Parliament. I'll keep doing my work, and I will not be intimidated at all.
I'm grateful to you this evening. Many thanks to you for joining us. Folks, that's where we end today's edition of Upfront. Many thanks to you for being part of the show.